Good morning, gang. Happy Saturday morning. Okay, so what's one of those normal Saturday routine things that a lot of people do? Head to the grocery store, right? All right, so before you go to the grocery store today, a couple of things I want to make you aware of. First off, if you shop at Kroger or Food Lion, okay, they are only the number one and number three totally supermarket chains in the country. Okay, granted they're number four and number six on places that sell groceries, but Walmart, Amazon, and Costco sell other stuff besides groceries. Kroger and Food Lion stick to food. Okay, if you shop at either one of those stores, and I assume a lot of us do, go check your freezer and make sure you don't have any frozen corn or frozen mixed vegetables in it, because came out last night that those frozen vegetables have been recalled for having listeria. Okay, so if you got either one of those, take it back to the store and get a refund for it, okay, or an exchange for something or whatever. Okay, don't need to get sick by buying it. Hey, because the FDA and the USDA, do such a great job of checking our food to make sure it's healthy, right? I mean, we hear something about a recall every other week lately. Sure seems to be. Okay. But so when you walk in the grocery store today, we will talk about another Bidenomics fail. This is it. Okay. We all know, well, all of us except for the federal government who tracks CPI, we all know what actual food inflation is, and it's been about 30% in Biden's term. Okay, somewhere between 30 and 40. Granted, when they figure out the CPI, they add stupid things in there like sewing machines, because you guys buy that all the time, or truffles, or all those things that people buy. But those are what's added into the CPI, which that's what brings things down. The price of sewing machines is coming down. Doesn't that make you guys feel great that inflation isn't as bad as we thought? Okay. Groceries, the normal staples that you're buying in a house, bread, milk, eggs, meat, vegetables, fruit, whatever, cereal, that sort of stuff. Yeah, that stuff, probably 30 to 40%, I think we'd all agree, is the actual number. Well, you want to know where about half of that inflation has come from? You can put this right in front of Joe Biden and blame nobody, not Congress, not governors, not anybody else. You can put that right in Joe Biden's lap and say, you personally caused this. Okay? 15% increase in food in the Joe Biden era is specifically due to Joe's increase in the amount of food stamps that we have. I want you to look at this chart. This will show you. If you remember, a couple of years ago, Joe hiked the amount of benefits that people on SNAP, food stamps, were eligible for. This is what that did to the price of food. Okay? You look at how relatively stable, a little jump at the beginning of COVID, okay? And then mid-2021, okay? This can't blame Trump at all here, okay? Because this is after Biden has taken office. Look at that spike in food prices, okay? And how much once he's hiked the SNAP. Now, by no means whatsoever am I blaming the people who are on, some of the people, I can't say most, whatever, because most of the people that are getting food stamps are defrauding the system. There are plenty of people out there who legitimately deserve to collect food stamps. I will say this, and you guys have heard my story before about being at the grocery store in New Hampshire with my chicken thighs and hot dogs, and the guy in front of me with steak and live lobsters, okay? Him paying his EBT and me using cash. I've known people in the past that I've worked with, that I've lived in the same apartment complex or whatever, that were completely eligible to work. They claimed they had some sort of disability, so they couldn't go to work. So they could literally sit home, do nothing all day, and collect food stamps. There's a boatload of fraud out there. There are plenty of people that are truly deserving. So do not think for a second that I am saying that everybody on food stamps is a freeloader. That is not true at all. There are plenty of people who have legitimate disabilities, legitimate reasons to collect food stamps. Laziness should not be considered a disability, but of course it is. Now I'm going to give you this. In 2019, okay, what the U.S. taxpayer, those of us who actually earn our way through life, we were on the hook for $4.5 billion a month for the cost of food stamps. Somebody's got to pay for those groceries, okay? The government gives the grocery store the money, the grocery store gives the food to the recipient, but somebody's got to give the government the money to pay the bill, okay? That's the rest of us who are gainfully employed. In 2019, $4.5 billion a month. By the end of 2022, because we don't have 2023 numbers yet, that was $11 billion a month. 2.5 times what it was basically at the end of the Trump presidency. You wonder where the blame lies. Joe is the one that pushed that through, okay? Congress didn't do it. Congress has the ability to repeal Biden's executive order, his unlawful food stamp expansion, okay? This was specifically executive overreach. Now, I want you to think of exactly what's going on. Y'all know as well as I do that the old adage, once you give them something, you can't take it away. Okay, it's very difficult. Once people become accustomed to having something, it's very difficult to take it away. All of us are very accustomed to having electricity. We talk about this all the time. Imagine it's taken away. It's very difficult to tell everybody when the lights are out, don't worry, everything's fine, just go about your normal daily life. We've got very accustomed to it. We've got very accustomed to being able to go wherever we want, whenever we feel. It's going to be very difficult to take that away, i.e. why we talk about Biden trying to implement martial law if he ever needed to do it, because they would have to do it with guns to keep people from moving about freely. It's the same with welfare handouts or entitlement benefits, and no, Social Security is not an entitlement. We paid for that. No, Medicare is not an entitlement. We paid for that. Okay, so every time you hear one of these idiot politicians talking about those programs, I'm sorry, they took enough money out of my paycheck. You want to make it easy? I did a video on this 6 months ago. Give me my money back that I put into Social Security and Medicare. Let me invest it myself, and I will wind up something like 5 times better than letting you handle it. Okay, so don't tell me that's a benefit I get. That's me getting my own money back, and the only benefit I got is your mismanagement of it. But food stamps is an entitlement. Okay, is a welfare benefit that the person who's receiving it did not pay for it. Okay, it's not a social safety net anymore, which is what it was set up for. Hey, you lost your job, you're looking for another one, your kids got to eat, we got it. Hey, 3-4 months, whatever it takes you to find a job, collect food stamps. Now it's like, I've been on food stamps for 13 years. Why the hell would I do anything different? It's pretty much the mindset of a large section of the population. Okay. But because of all of these people who it's going to be so difficult to take it away from, They are grooming those people to become completely dependent on the government. And Joe wanted more people dependent on the government. This is exactly what they want. I mean, guys, you got to put everything together. Look at anything. Look at the subsidies for solar and wind, okay? It's making us dependent on the government. Look at food. Look at gasoline. Look at everything that's going on. Look at the southern border. Look at crime. Look at defund the police, etc. This is all every one way. There's a bunch of people in Washington and some think tank sitting there going, how can we get more control over the people? What can we do now to make them completely dependent on us and take out any sort of independent thought from their head? That's what they're trying to do. This is exactly something. We are going to make people dependent on us for the food. What do you mean I've got to give you $140 for this little basket of groceries? But I've got my EBT card. I should get this stuff. It shouldn't cost me anything. I have to go to work to buy food? No, the government owes me food, right? That's what they want everybody to be. This is the problem. And as again, Margaret Thatcher coined this 40 years ago, okay? The problem with socialism is eventually you run out of other people's money, okay? Who's going to pay for this? Right now, it works great for Joe and the rest of the cast of clowns. There's enough of us that still have jobs that pay taxes that pay for his debacle. Whatever shortcoming they have there. Hey, Jerome, print me up a couple more $1 billion, will you? No problem. Okay. Hey, China, can we borrow some more money? Hey, no problem. Okay. Whatever it would be. And that's how they wind up doing it. But what we're seeing in this economy right now is layoffs and layoffs and layoffs and layoffs. And the less people that go to work mean the more people that are on food stamps, which means the more inflation that we're going to get, that those of us who are the last ones standing who actually have a job, okay, who are actually paying taxes, and as much as you say, well, I don't pay taxes, I get a refund at the end of the year, chances are you're paying taxes, okay? You just paid too much throughout the year. That's why you get a refund, okay? It's not like the government's saying you earned too little money, we want to give you more. No, it's you paid too much to us and we can't figure out a way to keep it, so we have to give you some of it back. Trust me, they'll figure out how to change the tax code soon enough so those refunds that you get disappear. We're just raising the taxes 2%. It's only 2%. It's not a big deal, okay? Until you go, yeah, you know what? I made $30,000 last year. It's $150. That's that basket of groceries again, okay? So, yeah. So before you go to the grocery today, when you walk in the store, not that you're already going to be pissed off because you know what it's going to cost you to walk out of the store, I want you to remember who is at fault for this. Joe for saying, hey, you know what? Just here's $1,000 a month. Some people were getting that in groceries, free, benefit of the taxpayer, and then be pissed at the freeloaders, which are primarily liberals anyway, who are gaming the system to steal your hard-earned tax dollars. Everything that you work the 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years for, and they're taking away in a matter of months. $11 billion a month, guys, is what we pay for freeloaders to eat. There needs to be a total, complete and utter, total overhaul of the federal government. You hear people talk about the Convention of States, which I am certainly a supporter of. Okay? Because if you really think about this, the federal government did not create the states. The states collectively created the federal government. How it's got to the point where the federal government is more powerful than the state governments, I have no idea, because the federal governments actually should be reporting to the state governments. And unfortunately, these politicians don't realize that they work for us, not the other way around. Okay. But this is it. You've heard me talk about balkanization, convention of states, whatever it would be. We need a total revamp of our federal government. We need to completely clean house. Every single one of them needs to get out. And we need to put people in a new government that actually follow the Constitution, are restricted and limited to doing only what the federal government should be, which is basically protecting the country. So the military, managing that. That is it, okay? And everything else be left to the states. If we don't get there fast and we continue to have 30-40% inflation and we continue to have communists signing off saying, here's more free stuff, okay? Go start reading up on what happened to Russia between 1987 and 1991. Okay? How the country completely collapsed until one day the federal government and the entire economy totally imploded. That's where we're heading. Remember that when you go to the grocery store. But like I said, make sure you check that corn, that mixed vegetables you have in the freezer today. And if you got any, take it back. Enjoy Saturday. Pinball out.